Call that changed everything. We're coming tomorrow. Those 4 words should have sounded ordinary. Instead, they became the beginning of the biggest betrayal of my life. I had waited nearly 11 years to hear silence like the kind surrounding me that evening. Not the uncomfortable silence after an argument. Not the lonely silence of an empty apartment after another exhausting workday. This was different. This silence felt alive. The breeze drifted across the lake, carrying the scent of pine trees and fresh water. Small waves kissed the wooden dock below my deck, creating a gentle rhythm that almost sounded like someone whispering, "You finally made it." The first time since graduating college, I wasn't checking work emails. My phone wasn't vibrating every 3 minutes with another emergency. There were no meetings, no deadlines, no impossible clients demanding miracles, just me, a rocking chair, a cup of tea growing cold beside me, and the home I'd dreamed about for more than a decade. My name is Olivia Parker. I'm 33 years old. For most people, buying a lake house sounds like the reward for a successful career. For me, it wasn't a reward. It was survival. For years, I worked 80-hour weeks at a corporate consulting firm that treated employees like machines. My alarm rang at 5 every morning, and many nights I didn't get home until after 10. Birthdays, holidays, vacations. I missed almost all of them. Friends eventually stopped inviting me because they already knew my answer. Have work. I lost relationships because work always came first. I gained weight from stress, then lost too much because I forgot to eat. Coffee replaced sleep. Deadlines replaced happiness. People looked at my salary and assumed I was living the dream. What they never saw were the panic attacks in office bathrooms, the migraines, the loneliness. Every sacrifice had one purpose: freedom. Every bonus went into savings. Every raise disappeared into investment accounts. While coworkers bought luxury cars and expensive vacations, I drove the same aging sedan and lived in a tiny apartment. People laughed. "You make 6 figures and still live like a college student?" I would simply smile, because I had a plan, a dream. One day I would disappear somewhere quiet, somewhere no one expected anything from me, somewhere I could finally breathe. 3 weeks before everything happened, I found it, the perfect lake house. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't flashy. It was peaceful. A white 2-story home tucked between towering pine trees, with huge windows overlooking sparkling water. There was a wraparound porch, a stone fireplace, a private dock, an old oak tree that looked older than the country itself. The moment I walked through the front door, I knew this wasn't just another house. This felt like home. 2 weeks later, the closing papers were signed. Every dollar came from my own savings. No gifts, no inheritance, no family money, just 11 years of sacrifice. When I received the keys, I cried inside my car for almost 15 minutes, not because I was sad, because I had finally proved something to myself. I could build my own future, without anyone rescuing me. Without anyone owning me, I moved in quietly. I barely told anyone, including my family. That decision would end up saving me. Growing up, my parents had always believed in one strange rule: what's yours is ours. But somehow, what belonged to my older brother Leo was always only his. Leo was 36, charming, funny, confident, irresponsible. If confidence alone created success, Leo would have been a billionaire. Instead, he bounced from one failed business idea to another: a sports bar, a cryptocurrency startup, a landscaping company, a luxury clothing brand. Each one collapsed within months. Each failure somehow became someone else's responsibility, usually mine. Whenever Leo needed money, my parents had an excuse. He's trying. Business is hard. Family supports family. When I earned scholarships, they celebrated Leo's newest idea. When I graduated, they asked whether I could help him with rent. When I received promotions, they suggested I invest in his next business. Eventually, I stopped telling them about my achievements altogether. Every success simply became another opportunity for them to ask me for money. So when I bought my dream house, I kept the details private. I thought distance would finally give me peace. I was wrong. That first evening, I unpacked only the essentials: a blanket, some dishes, books, a few framed photographs. By sunset, I sat on the deck watching orange light spread across the lake for the first time in years. I felt genuinely happy. Then my phone rang. The screen showed one name: Leo. I almost ignored it, almost. Instead, I answered. There wasn't even a greeting, no congratulations, no asking how I was. His voice sounded unusually cheerful. "Perfect timing," he said. "I was just calling to let you know we're moving in tomorrow." I laughed. I honestly thought he was joking. "What? You heard me." There was complete confidence in his voice. Dad already approved everything. My smile disappeared. "I'm sorry." You don't need that huge place all to yourself, he continued. Melissa and the kids need space, and honestly, the lake house makes more sense for us. I frowned. What are you talking about? If you don't like it, he replied casually, you can always find somewhere else to live. Silence, I couldn't even process what I had just heard. We'll be there around 8 tomorrow morning. Then he hung up. I stood frozen on the deck, staring at the phone in my hand. The sun continued sinking below the lake. Birds continued singing. Everything looked peaceful, yet inside me, something had completely changed. I knew my brother. He never made empty threats if he said they were coming. They were already packed, and somehow. My parents believed they had every right to take the only place that had ever truly belonged to me. They thought I would give in. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the old house made me glance toward the front door. Every passing car on the distant road made me wonder if my family had decided to arrive early. But beneath the anxiety, another feeling slowly replaced the panic. Determination. I had spent my entire life surrendering pieces of myself to keep the peace. Not this time. At 6 o'clock the next morning, I was already sitting at the kitchen island with my laptop open and a legal pad filled with notes. The first person I called was my real estate attorney, Sarah Mitchell. She answered after only 2 rings. Olivia, is everything okay? I'm sorry for calling so early. You never apologize for protecting your property, she replied. What's going on? I explained everything, repeating Leo's exact words. When I finished, there was a brief silence. Then Sarah laughed. Not because the situation was funny, because it was unbelievable. Olivia, she said firmly, your father cannot give away a house he doesn't own. I know. No, I mean legally he has absolutely no authority over that property. I just needed to hear someone else say it. Email you certified copies of your deed and ownership records within 10 minutes. Thank you. One more thing. Yes, if they show up and refuse to leave, don't argue. Call the sheriff immediately. I already planned to. After ending the call, I stared out the kitchen window toward the lake. Morning sunlight danced across the water. Normally that view would calm me. Today it only reminded me what I was fighting to protect. My phone buzzed again. Mom. I almost ignored it. Instead, I answered. Good morning, sweetheart. She sounded strangely cheerful, as if nothing had happened. Morning. Told you we're coming today, right? So it's true, of course. She interrupted me. It'll be wonderful. The grandchildren will love the lake. Never invited anyone. Don't be dramatic. I'm serious. Are we? She sighed loudly. Always had trouble sharing. I stared at the phone in disbelief, sharing I'd bought the house with 11 years of savings. Nobody had contributed a single dollar, yet somehow I was selfish for refusing to give it away. You don't understand, she continued. Leo's family needs this house more than you do. What? You're single. Don't need all that space. I actually laughed. It wasn't amusement, it was disbelief. So because I never had children. Twist my words. You just said I don't deserve the home I bought. Never said deserve. You didn't have to. Silence. Then came the sentence I'd heard my entire life. Family sacrifices for family. I finally answered with the truth I'd swallowed for years. I already have. Then I hung up. For several minutes I simply stood there. Old memories flooded back. Being 16 years old and watching Dad sell the small investment account Grandpa had opened for me because Leo needed help. Working 2 jobs during college while Leo received a monthly allowance. Paying for Mom's medical bills while Leo bought a new motorcycle. Every single time I had been expected to rescue everyone else. Nobody had ever rescued me, not once. Around 8:30, a locksmith arrived. By 9, every exterior lock had been replaced with high-security digital deadbolts. The technician handed me 2 key cards. Nobody gets in without these. Perfect. Next came the security company. Although cameras were already installed, I upgraded the monitoring package and activated live alerts. Every entrance, every window, every inch of the driveway. If someone stepped onto my property, my phone would know before I did. Finally, I called the county sheriff's office. The dispatcher listened patiently. So you're expecting family members to trespass? Yes. You've clearly told them they don't have permission. Not yet. It by text. I immediately sent one message. Do not come to my property. You do not have permission to enter my home or remain on my land. Anyone who refuses to leave will be reported for trespassing. Within seconds, Leo replied. We'll see about that. Dad already settled everything. I saved screenshots, then I waited. At exactly 7:56 the following morning, my security cameras sent an alert, vehicle detected. I opened the live feed. A massive moving truck slowly rolled through the front gate. Behind it came my parents' black SUV. My stomach tightened. They weren't bringing overnight bags. They were bringing furniture, boxes, mattresses, bicycles, children's toys. They intended to move in permanently. The truck stopped in front of the porch. Leo jumped down first, wearing sunglasses and smiling like a man who had already won. His wife, Melissa, climbed out holding a clipboard. The children ran across my front yard laughing. My parents stepped out last. Dad looked around proudly. Beautiful place. Mom smiled. I knew Olivia would come around. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They hadn't even considered that I might say no to them. It wasn't my decision. Leo reached into his pocket. My heart skipped. He held up a silver key. Then I realized, weeks earlier during a family dinner, I'd briefly left my purse in their hallway. He must have secretly copied my house key. Confidently, he climbed the porch steps, inserted the key, twisted, nothing. He frowned, tried again, still nothing. His smile disappeared. What the? He yanked the key out and stared at the brand new digital keypad. Dad walked over. What happened? She changed the locks. Several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Leo exploded. He pounded on the front door hard enough to shake the windows. Olivia. Another bang. I know you're in there. Bang, open this door. I calmly picked up my phone, then pressed one button, call sheriff, county sheriff's office. My name is Olivia Parker. My family has arrived. They're refusing to leave. We're already on our way. I looked back at the security monitor. Outside, Leo was shouting louder with every passing second. Dad joined him. Mom crossed her arms. The children looked frightened. I felt sorry for them. None of this was their fault. But their parents had chosen this path. And in less than 5 minutes, everything would begin to fall apart. Leo pounded on my front door while my father shouted that I was embarrassing the family. I stayed inside and watched through the security cameras. A few minutes later, 2 sheriff's deputies pulled into the driveway. Leo immediately walked over to them with a confident smile. My sister locked us out of our family property, he claimed. My father owns half of this house. Dad proudly handed the deputies a property deed that supposedly proved his ownership. I stepped outside with the certified deed Sarah had emailed me. My attorney is on speakerphone, I said calmly. Sarah confirmed that I was the only legal owner of the lake house. After comparing both documents, the deputies quickly realized my father's deed was a forgery. The lead deputy looked at my family. This property belongs solely to Ms. Olivia Parker. You are trespassing. My parents stared at Leo in disbelief. The deputies ordered everyone to leave immediately or face arrest. Realizing they had lost, Leo silently climbed back into the moving truck. My parents followed without another argument. Within minutes, the driveway was empty again. I stood on my porch, watching them disappear down the road. Instead of sadness, I felt relief. 3 months later, I was enjoying peaceful mornings on my deck with no contact from my family. My dream lake house remained exactly what I had worked so hard for, a place where no one could take away my peace again. For the first time in years, I truly felt at home. The end.